G'day guys and gal. There exists a place where the air, water, animals, and even the plants seek to bring about your death. There are leaves that if you touch will induce such pain that most people will kill themselves to end it. Large muscle-bound creatures that can disembowel you with a single swipe, where the people are so hardy and muscle-bound that they are a highly prized commodity from the foreign community. I am of course talking about Australia, which while it draws many connections to the topic of today's video, it's a lot scarier and hardcore. Catachan comes at a close second however, as it's literally a combo of the Vietnam War, Child's Play Australia, and Rambo, tied together nicely with some Jumanji. 75% of the people born here do not survive past the age of 10, and the planet is considered virtually unassailable, as not only do you need to deal with the most hardcore guerrilla warfare guardsmen in the galaxy on a jungle planet, but also the jungle itself, which is home to some horrific monsters. Some of them are even microscopic. They can tear bloodthirsters apart like they were made of American money. This is why they use plastic money in Australia and Catachan. It's a lot more hardy and can handle the extreme environments, as well as accidentally getting left in the washing machine pocket. Today we'll go over the planet Catachan and its many horrors, as well as who the natives of the planet are. We'll also take a peek at some of their more notable characters, who are all pretty much a meme reference to other franchises, most notably Sly Marbo. Let's get into it. Before Chaos was getting up to its genocidal shenanigans and the Big E was attempting to clap the galaxy's cheeks, mankind spread throughout the stars and colonized countless worlds. One of these expeditions led mankind to the lush world of Catachan. From orbit, it looked lit. Vibrant worlds full of life were few and far between, but the colonists quickly realized that they would have better odds if they landed on a gas giant, as they crash landed upon the planet. I would say slowly but surely, except that it wasn't slow at all, the colonists began dying horrifically due to the many horrors that the planet contained. Despite most of them dying, enough survived via trial and error to gain the extensive knowledge required to live. Key word, live. There was no conquering of nature here, nor was there any thriving to be had. The planet aggressively targeted anything on it that was foreign, hence any settlement created by the new Catachan people was soon overrun by malicious plants or just straight up sieged by monsters, meaning that there were no permanent cities on the planet and the people were involuntarily nomadic. Now, I've talked a lot about the crikey levels of monsters and plants on the planet. Let's take a look at some of the more spicy ones. Kicking us off for the plants, we have the brain leaf. Although it sounds like a supplement for boosting brain power in vegans, it's quite the opposite. The brain leaf seeks to shove its tendrils into any animal, hentai style, in order to take over its brain and make it little more than a scutari. There's a theory that this creature and many more in Catachan were experimental tyranids that got cut off from the hive mind and went feral. However, I don't really like that theory. Seems like a cop-out way to explain the danger and also suck off the tyranid power levels. Just let Catachan be Catachan. A similar yet more grim plant to the brain leaf is the appropriately named spiker. It shoots spikes at you, which already sucks, but then it sucks more when the spikes release their DNA into you and turn you into another spiker. Arguably the most aggressive form of reproduction around outside of a BDSM swingers party that doesn't require condoms. No evil plant collection would be complete without the Venus mantrap. Like a Venus flytrap, but way more of a dick. This giant plant actively moves its leaves around, seeking to chow down on someone. Then there's the spore tree. Although often causes certain death, it's one of the least grim plants. Basically a trip mine that when detonated releases so many spores into the air that you can't breathe and you choke to death. It then uses your corpse as nourishment. Probably one of the most cooked plants is the Kanak floater. Basically a plant that floats around the planet in the sky, using its senses to discover sources of heat and moisture, usually creeks, streams, or the flesh of man. Once it detects said moisture, it explodes, dropping its seeds all around, which would be okay if it wasn't for the fact that the seeds had a razor sharp casing, which if it lands on you from the sky, will tear you to shreds. Next up we have the sucker tree. Although this sounds like a pretty good time, it is not at all. It's basically a tree with a vacuum on it. When you walk past the tree, it will bend down and stick the sucker on your head, draining you of fluids. Once you look like the mummy, it will then flick you away so your corpse doesn't alert other people to the danger. I don't know what kind of natural selection evolution had to take place to not only create a tree which drank you, but then also flung away your corpse when it was done. There are many such more plants like the mantrap or the spitting cactus, but I thought the ones listed above were the most fun. Now, onto the animals, who are somehow scarier than the plants. Starting us off, we have the Catachan devils. creatures that make demons look cuddly. It's like a mix of a scorpion, centipede, and hatred, and it can get as big as a train. These creatures have been known to attack Imperial Guard tank companies, and win. Catachan, like Australia, is home to the deadliest snakes ever, such as the Death Cobra and the Black Viper. If you get bitten by one of these snakes, there isn't a whole lot you can do, as you die after your heart beats 30 times. Just because things are horrifically deadly doesn't mean they can't be super cute. The great barking toads are a great example of this. Literally a cuddly micro-nuke, these friendly toads will live out their lives with love, unless you startle or scare them, in which case they will pledge their soul to Allah and explode into a cloud of toxins, killing everything in a 1 kilometer radius. The toxins cannot be blocked with a respirator nor a bunker. If you're within that 1 kilometer, you are dead. It is said Nurgle blushes with jealousy whenever one of these boys heads off to paradise with their 72 virgins. My favourite of all Catachan wildlife, because the name is hilarious, are the heretic ants. They are named this because they target the sole of your foot. Get it? Attacking your soul. Heretic. I think it's hilarious. 1 bite will make you disabled, 2 bites will give you a day to find treatment before death, and 3 bites, you're out. Probably the most horrific Catachan animal, and one that should obviously have a spot in the SPC Foundation, are the vein worms. These worms crawl onto you, numb your skin, and then dig into your body. Once inside, they will lay eggs in your bloodstream that will then hatch, causing the new vein worms to eat their way out of you via your brain, heart, and other orifices. The best part is that when that first vein worm gets into you, there is no cure, but it's very easy to diagnose. I would genuinely just incinerate myself if this happened to me. Then we have the drake bats, who are basically giant bats who fly down and eat your ass. Nothing really special about them, there's a version of these guys in every fantasy-based universe, but it's important to know that bats the size of elephants could land on you at any second. There are other monsters like the death flies, pus worms, blood flies, spine-borne leeches, and they all do horrible things. The ones listed above were my favourite. Although what you can see on Catachan really sucks for your health insurance premiums, it's what you can't see which really ruins your day. The planet is covered in viruses, bacteria, and infections that would make having the old errorina as an old person look like the common cold. Some diseases will burn out your lungs, others give you rotten feet that eventually fall off and dissolve into a puddle of pus which smells really bad. Or so I've been told, I don't really know, I haven't been to Catachan before. The point I'm trying to make here is that the planet really sucks and wants you to die horribly, so the people who are able to survive on Catachan are hardy as hell, and they look the part too, like damn, they look like me. But Majorkill, you don't look like that. Shut your mouth, Timmy, before I lather you in honey and drop you off at Catachan. You might look at them and be like, no wonder why they all die all the time, they have no concept of armor. And to that I say flexing is the greatest defense and offense in all situations. Yes, it does seem a bit silly that the only armor used in the fight against nature are red bandanas and tank tops, but think about it like this. No matter how much armor you have, a Catachan devil will cut you in half with one swipe, so it's better to have freedom of mobility. The planet is also extremely humid and hot. You would melt if you had to wear armor all the time. The idea is that everything is so deadly, armor will do nothing but slow you down, so there's really no point. The Imperium saw Catachan and were like, if these guys can survive that, they can survive anything. Hence the Guardsman Regiment of Catachan jungle fighters were born. Basically elite commando squads drop behind enemy lines that excel in guerrilla warfare. They have graced countless battlefields, from slaughtering the Greenskins at Armageddon, to massacring the Tau on their Sept worlds, clapping the Elder on Maiden worlds, all the way to slaying Chaos Astartes on Catachan itself. A legendary Catachan known as Straken has seen the second most amount of conflict and victory out of all the Catachan jungle fighters. This man has fought countless Xenos and heretics in hand-to-hand combat, slaughtering them all. In one engagement he accounted for the deaths of 30 orcs with a knife, before then throwing himself at the orc war boss and threw them both into the path of a rampaging Squiggoth, killing the war boss and breaking himself. But he survived, and he went on to clap the Luhax invaders in the Battle of Modin's Ridge, despite being outnumbered 10-1, only to return home to find a Night Lord's warband invading Catachan. Did he waver? No. He waited for the Night Lord commander to remove his helmet, which at that point he jumped out and shoved a poisonous barb root in his face, killing the Space Marine and winning the battle. Don't mess with Colonel Straken. There is one out there who even Colonel Straken can't match. One man who defies all logic, all reason. To say his name out loud is to court death for the enemies of mankind. It's Sly Marbo! The greatest hero of the Imperium, Despite his extreme psychological torment which has left him non-verbal, he's as strong as ever. Chuck Norris quivers in fear at the sight of this manly man, who has killed thousands of bad guys armed only with his big-ass trusty knife, and a dangerous obsession with explosives. The highest honour that can ever be bestowed upon a servant of the Emperor is the Star of Terror. Sly Marbo has received multiple Stars of Terror for going well beyond the call of duty multiple times. Whether it be repelling a Dark Elder invasion single-handedly, ambushing and destroying entire tank columns of Tau, or making Khorne bend over and beg for mercy. When the legendary Colonel Straken was mortally wounded after throwing himself and the Orc Warboss in front of a colossal squig, it was Marbo who carried him to safety. Marbo 1v1'd a Chaos Banelord class Titan, one of the few people who has ever done that. You know who else beat a Banelord Titan? Sanguinius. Yes. Yes. And that does us for today, guys. Catachan, its monsters, its people, and Sly Marbo. There are times in franchises where blatant references or rip-offs from real life or existing fiction don't translate over so well. Combining the Vietnam Wars with Australia, Rambo and Chuck Norris turned out better than expected, and we have a living meme created by Games Workshop themselves. Sly even got a new model recently, so it's cool to see that the big GW hasn't lost their fun. If you want to support the channel and get access to a boatload of Warhammer titties, including the premium Majorkill titty calendar, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month supports me more than you could know. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more life-threatening content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.